Confederacy of Dunks. Toronto Raptors. Scotty B. WeTheNorth, baby.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks basketball podcast on Raptors Republic. I'm your host, Freddie Rivas, here with fellow host and producer, Andy Hull.
Hello.
And special guest, good friend, hilarious comedian, amazing producer, also obsessed with basketball like everybody else in my life, Dan Galea. What's up, Dan?
Hello.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, I'll see you guys later.
Yep, that's it. That's it for today. Guys,
That's a
thanks
wrap.
so much for tuning in.
Yeah, short attention spans these days. This is a great podcast for that.
Yeah, you got to know when to leave. And
YouTube
sometimes
Shorts. This whole thing will be on YouTube Shorts.
That's right. Sometimes you leave before you start.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to get better. It's middle of the summer. You know what I mean? Let's. I think I got some fun, weird topics. Let's jump into the first one. Me and Andy and you, Dan, we're all at a wedding on Friday. Shout out Chris and Aurora, who absolutely won't be listening to this podcast. But me and Andy were having a spirited conversation about Welcome to Wrexham. And Andy, you know, really, I guess I had sort of thought about this before, but Andy was really driving home, like, you know, fuck Wrexham. Because,
exactly.
They're villains, and I agree. Everyone that gets up to play them, but I kind of didn't see them. Like, I didn't see the villain angle.
Mm.
Let me explain the villain angle a little bit.
Go for it.
Because, if anyone's watched Welcome to Wrexham, if you haven't, it's the show where Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, they buy a team in like one of the really low leagues in the UK. They buy a soccer team, and then they just like pump it full of money and make a documentary about it so that players will join. And of course, what this does is it creates a fun underdog story at first. So season 1, you're watching the show, and this is a town that's down on its luck. The team is down on their luck. Like, it's rough going for them until these two guys from Hollywood come and start pumping it full of money. And like, it's like, oh, Deadpool, owns our team now. And then they're like, what do we do? Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll just go get the best player in the league above us. So like, that doesn't happen really in these leagues, right? Like, to get the best player in the league that fully above you just never happens. But because obviously Ryan Reynolds is here and Fox is there filming, or FX or whatever, like, they can just get the best guy, and he comes down a league and joins their team. Are you telling me that Wrexham is now an underdog? Are you joking? They are the villains of that league. This was the crux of our conversation.
I'll say this: Andy had a lot of good points. I was a bit deer in the headlights.
I really sprung it on you. You were eating, you were talking to other people, and I just came up behind you and started saying this to you.
I was pretty drunk. Like, I didn't really have a good rebuttal for this. Besides to say that, like, they were, it's Wrexham in Wales. They're, play mostly like, it's tough for them to kind of compete with like the big, huge English teams. And I mean, there's an inherent sort of underdog thing to Wales in general. And I also am interested to see where that goes because, just a little side note, I feel like actor money only goes so far. So I'm curious to see what happens when they, continue rising the ranks and start to have to compete with like oligarchs and like big oil money and, like murderous type of venture capitalists.
I do get what Andy's saying though, like, and bringing, like, I know you're talking about Wales, the place, but like it'd be like if you had like a pod of dolphins, and then all of a sudden, like, this killer whale was in that pod of dolphins, then like all the other pods would probably like hate that pod of dolphins because it's like it just has this like monster,
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm say really good. I don't really get it.
I think that's exactly what he was.
I'm not.
I wasn't. I wasn't sure that if you just picked that analogy because of the word whale.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, whales. Yeah, whales. I get it. Killer whales are actually more related to dolphins, though.
I know, that's crazy. Like
They're
Baileys,
orcas.
fellas, Baileys. I just finished Moby Dick. It's fucking long, and they talk about they talk about all the types of whales. There's one chapter where they really go through it, and it's long. Okay, great book though, legendary.
Okay, but I want to catch everybody up on Wrexham really quickly though, because so if you're aware of the Premier League system in the UK, right? There's promotion and relegation, all these different leagues. The highest is the Premier League. The next level is called the Championship. Then down from that we have League One, then we have League Two, and then we have the National League at the bottom. Wrexham started in the National League, right? In season 1, I think.
In the lowest league, yeah.
So technically there are lower leagues than that, but I think that's generally
it's like the lowest professional
where we
league.
stop kind of exactly. so now they're currently in League One. So they've gone up, they've been promoted twice. So even now, I wish I'd known that when we had this conversation at the wedding, because our friend Paul Vates was being like, well, now they're underdogs in whatever league they're in. And it's like, they won't be for long, because then someone from the Championship is going to come down to their league, and eventually they're going to start getting Premier League guys, like because they want to be on this TV show and they want to be famous. Well, the one guy from Wrexham, the guy who I'm talking about, who went down to league, he was in Deadpool. He was in the movie Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, there's immediate other like reasons to be on this team. So, anyways.
Yeah, but bring it back to my analogy, though.
They're the villains. Like, yeah, let's get back to the whales, the actual whales, though.
He's hanging out with a bunch of sharks.
No. Let's get the hell out of the ocean. But okay. Anyways, it's a fun thought exercise when you think about villains. So,
yes.
Who or like what really represents like villains for you, or a villain? Dan, I want to start with you. Like, so when you think about the NBA landscape, I don't even want to sort of like preface this.
I think I have a good answer for this.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think what makes a villain is the same thing as what makes a hero. It's just like confidence and just being yourself, like unabashedly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're actually a good person, you're a hero. And if like yourself is actually not a good person, you're a villain. So it's like. I think that like it's actually like the most truth that you could possibly put out there, and then just letting the kind of chips lie where they may, and you might be a hero and you might be a villain depending on what you actually do, right? So it's like, but it's always, I think people just, that's my answer.
I think that's a great answer. I do think
that is mine.
I never thought about like they always talk about the thin line between love and hate, and it's kind of the same. And they also always talk about that movie. The thin line between love and hate. Yeah. But the thin line between a hero and a villain. I mean, that's the whole like Batman thing, right? You either, live long enough to see yourself become the villain or whatever. That is a very good way of putting it, Dan. Very good.
So Dan, do you have like, is there an example of like of a villain in
the NBA?
Yeah,
I
think current villain.
I think that this could potentially become a villain. I bet a lot of people already think he is, but I went with Jokic because like he's first of all, if he was a villain, he's like this insane like kingpin with like horses and like he's got like all the billionaire king like villain traits, right?
He does, and he doesn't care. Okay.
The other thing is like he's like also one of the best players in the league, and he just doesn't seem to care. Like it's just like, and that must be so annoying for everybody. Like it's like this guy, and then he has brothers that are beating people up in the stands.
True, yeah.
It's like this guy is literally so close to being a villain, but then he seems like the nicest guy. So it's like, those villains that are like so unpredictable. Like it's like they're the least likely to be the villain. It's like, but really they're behind it all. It's like Wizard of Oz styles. That's how I feel about Jokic. He's just like this really like kind of unassuming character, but then it's like sometimes things slip where he's like, I just wanted to go back to my horses. I don't care. And you're like, whoa, interesting.
This is a fantastic answer, Dan. Because I think like there's a lot of low-hanging fruit for this type of question. You didn't go there. and I love it. Andy, what makes a villain in today's NBA for you? Who's your villain?
Okay, I have I have a list of them. I have a whole bunch of them. I won't burn
Okay,
all of them, but I'll
so
talk about a couple.
you got some cronies and like okay,
Yeah, well, okay. So first of all, like you mentioned earlier before we started, like this doesn't have to be one specific thing. Like entire teams are villains, right?
that's
In
right.
the
Yeah,
NBA,
for
right?
sure.
And that's true for any sport, right? I think we can all, I think everyone outside of Los Angeles and Boston can agree that those teams are villains.
Yes,
They are both
yes, for
villains.
sure.
We do not like them. We don't really cheer for them,
Yep.
unless you're one of these people who jumps on the like best team ever bandwagon. Who, you know, I honestly think there's something wrong with you if you do that. If you are a Lakers fan and you're from Toronto or you're from whatever and you're like, oh, I was a Lakers fan when I was a kid. Too bad. Guess when you switch? 1995. That's when you change who you cheer for. You're no longer allowed to be a Lakers fan and still have me think that you're cool. Okay, I have like close friends who have done this, by the way, and so I'm not just talking about pure strangers. So yeah, you got that sort of thing happening there, and
I
like
just want to say, if I like, with the Raptors being bad again, it's going to happen more. And when you as a Raptor fan go to like a Lakers or Golden State game or a Celtics game, and there's so many Lakers, Celtics,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Golden State fans, like those are some of my least favorite. Like the energy there is everyone is just sort of like you're soulless.
you chose
Yeah,
you chose one of the
Yeah,
top two franchises
no
in
good,
league history as your
no good.
favorite.
yeah. I can't even
Like,
really wear a hat. I feel weird.
no,
Like
me
I bought
neither.
this really awesome Denver Nuggets hat, and I wore it once. Felt weird. Put it in the closet. I never wore it again.
I mean,
I feel the
Denver
same
Nuggets,
way.
they're all right. Like,
And it's not even about that. I just feel like I'm betraying my fandom.
I love to wear hats and jerseys of other teams just to mix it up and just because sometimes I like the colors or like the style, like the player or whatever. But I can't wear those teams. I can't wear a Lakers. I can't wear a Celtics, even though I really do think it's okay to wear like if I had a Magic, if Freddie, if I saw you wearing a Magic Johnson jersey, I'd be like sick jersey. You know what I mean? Dan, if you were wearing a Larry Bird jersey, I'd be like
Right.
awesome. I wouldn't really have, I wouldn't actually have a problem with that. For some reason, I just don't want to. You know what I mean? If someone gave me, a Shaq Lakers, I'd be like wicked. I love Shaq.
Yeah.
Like I got no problem with this really, even though I hated that team. But player wise, if we're talking current NBA, that can affect the profile of a team. Obviously, we can get a lot of like. I'm kind of surprised that the Wolves aren't more of a villain in the league because they've got Cat, they've got Gobert, and like we all love Anthony Edwards, but like you can see he could become a villain pretty easily in this league.
he's got that like that authenticity thing Dan was describing.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
The Wolves are a long like tormented franchise, obviously, so we're all kind of like happy that they're good now, a little bit. So they are, I think, dodging that villain status, but like it could change. It could change at any minute for them. If we're talking players, I think you low hanging fruit. You've got your Embiids.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got your Draymonds. I think
Yep.
Dylan the villain. I mean, maybe not to us, Team Canada, where I think we're all totally fine with Dylan Brooks right now. But yeah, he's definitely a hated player around the league. As far as like kind of players that I hate, there isn't anyone that really. Oh, I mean, see, mine are more like historic. There's a weird thing where I like there's like I only hate the same players that we all hate kind of around the league right
Sure.
now. But like I hate. I mean, maybe this is just the same thing. I hate Paul Pierce so much. I never ever wanted that guy to win anything, and it wasn't just during those Boston years. During those Nets years, I'm just like I really hated that guy. But I don't know. Yeah, there aren't too many really. I mean, your Papev doesn't even play in the league anymore. You know what I mean? Is it him? Is that the guy who I pick? I don't know. I think there's like standard villains, and then you're gonna have some villains that like are team specific. Like for me, Paul Pierce was more of a anti-Raptors hatred.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had that going for him. But interestingly enough, villainy also fades. I wanted to bring this up. Okay, here's some villains I think are fading. Russell Westbrook. Okay, we're
Hey,
starting
he's
to
a classic. Like, I am who I am, and people are like,
Yeah.
we love you, and then like, actually, we hate you now.
There
I
was
think
some villain.
people
There was a
also
lot of
feel-
villainy with Russ,
I think
right?
people just also feel bad for him.
I think
Yeah.
so
Like
too.
he
A
just
bit, yeah.
got so much crap. Like it was like almost warrantless. Like it's like people were just like
Oh,
being so
definitely
mean to that guy.
Yeah.
No, he got a lot of sort of like analytics blowback, right? Like, so he got
Mhm.
the,
Yes.
you know, he was definitely like a you know, like rightfully so, like built up to like this incredible status. He was the guy who was in OKC after KD left. He had a lot of kind of hero energy, and
Mhm.
then that narrative sort of tired, and people were like, "Oh, actually, I hate you now."
It's funny that OKC team really created a couple guys like this because you also got Harden, known villain around the
Yeah.
league, who I think it's not so much fading, but it's peaked, I think. And I don't think it's
I'd put it in the fading territory.
yeah. It maybe this Clippers season, for me personally, it's definitely fading. I mean, I don't really have anything against James Harden anymore. And the other guy is of course KD, right?
Mhm.
Like, and I think this year's Olympics, especially for American basketball fans, probably went a long way for us to forget about the whole Warriors stuff and seeing how poorly the Suns did this year in the playoffs, and then seeing him like be the guy that like Steph and LeBron are like, he's the scorer. You know what I mean? Like in the Olympics was like, that was awesome. I love when that happens, you know?
Mhm.
And so I think KD is definitely really moved away from that villainy. I'm sure there's tons of people out there that still hate him and still think he is a villain, but I think there's a lot of people who's that villainy meter is just cooling out on him right now.
I'm into the villainy meter.
I'm keeping an eye on it at all times.
So okay, I think for me there has to be a
Oh, I know who
element-
mine is. Sorry, mine's
sorry,
easy.
sorry,
Mine's
sorry,
dumb.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
my bad. I
No,
forgot.
no, all good.
Luca. Luca's the new villain. He's the
Okay.
new villain.
You guys just got together before the pod and you're like, all right, it's got to be Eastern European guys.
Yeah.
The way
them's the breaks.
Die Hard
Ki-
style.
Kyrie, moving away. That villainy is fading for him, right? Luca, it's going up. It's going up big time. Even Mavs fans are like, I was just reading like it was like a Reddit post or something, and all these Mavs fans were like, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to cheer for that guy right now. And like this is what they're posting like during the playoffs and stuff. It's like, yeah, man. I mean, a lot of that complaining, the way he was acting, you know, during the finals and stuff. Like it's he's attaining villain status, I think.
Do you guys think that if oh no, I forgot his name. That's so weird. I just had a brain thing. Team Canada, like he's on Raptors. I'm so sorry. I just forgot
RJ?
his name.
Kelly
Yeah.
Olynyk.
Yeah. Do you think if RJ Barrett plays like really well this season, he has the potential to become like a villain? Because like it's like, you know, the Knicks will be like pissed. They'll just be like, why
Yeah.
didn't you play
I
like
think-
this here?
I think the Knicks are so happy to be rid of him that they're like, whatever. If he's fine,
Right.
if he's good, who cares?
And I think that's a scenario where it's one of those rare trades where at least right now it seems like both teams are really happy with like what they got. And
Mhm.
I mean, we had OG for such a long time that I feel like Raptors
Right.
fans know that OG is just not going to let them down.
No, they're not going to be
if-
mad about having OG. That's true.
No, and if anything, OG is going to sort of like do things. He's just going to mature and get better and like be more and more impactful. So he's going to hit bigger threes, make bigger stops, and like just be like the perfect glue guy.
When he plays,
When he plays, when he's not injured.
when he's not hurt,
Yeah, he is.
happens a lot.
He,
Just saying
he
it
does.
happens a lot.
Well, he's one of those guys also who it's not like he's like, oh, his knee, oh, his ankle. It's like OG has like a crazy thing where it's like, oh, lacerated hand. His contacts fell out again.
Every game.
Like he has I mean, his injuries are weird. Like
I love OG so much, and then I saw him go to the Knicks and be really good, and I was I was like really happy for him. And then his injuries started happening, and then he came back and he got injured again. And it's like, yep, welcome to having OG on your team, New York Knicks.
And I think, yeah, I mean, I think like optimistically, Tom Thibodeau will manage him and not overplay him. And sorry, I thought
if there's somebody who doesn't run their players into the ground, it's certainly Tom Thibodeau.
When I said that out loud, I thought it was funnier than it actually was.
But you know what? You delivered it so straight that I was like, "Does Freddie believe that?" Like, wait.
Yeah, I delivered it too straight. A, B. It's one of those like it's too much of a stock NBA joke.
Yeah, totally.
Like totally. It's like everyone says that, so there's like zero originality to it. Listen,
you're really roasting your own joke there.
I'm a villain after this pod.
Yeah, you're the villain of the podcast. Yeah.
No, yeah. After this episode, I'm gonna fucking go nuts.
Did you have a villain, Freddie? Or
yeah, so I had kind of like a. Thank you, Dan.
Dan's just moving us along here. We got to get to the next segment. Sorry.
Like, do you have a villain? You're rattled by your own shitty joke.
Sorry.
Do you want to keep it moving? You pissed your pants. Yeah. Okay, your villain answer though got me thinking, and like, I think so. What I had originally had, basically, your answer is better, but I think for me there has to be an element of treachery. So, Luka complaining, like I see it a little bit. I see how people can turn on him, but for me, like true villains have to have this element of like they will be unsportsmanlike. They will do things that embrace, like they don't really want to be nice. And like Anthony Edwards, that's why I feel like he's got some villain energy big time. You wonder who I feel like could be who could go from being this like, wow, gotta watch him play, to all of a sudden people being like, this guy's pissing me off. Is Victor Wembanyama. I could see him getting real good real quick, which I think is
gonna happen.
Not an original take, but I could also see him. He's had a couple comments so far where it's like, all right, buddy, like we had the one Vegas comment where he was like, I don't go there, that's like a place of sin, and not in like Sin City. Cool. He's just like, that is where sin happens, and I don't want to be distracted. And it's like, okay, villain boy. And then he also talked about like sort of like spoke down on like guys that party, and like the whole league is guys that party. So
I don't like that.
He has a little bit of like, I mean, Tim Duncan had some of this, which is sort of like Tim Duncan's like, I play I'm a LARPer, I swim, and I'm gonna dominate you. And it's not totally dissimilar to Jokic, right? Where it's sort of like, what the fuck, man? Like, just be friends with us. Like,
just be cool, man.
Just be cool, man. I think
I'll also slide Bronny James in there as a potential villain, just because he's like, got the nepotism thing, and people could be like,
see, there's a difference between hated or disliked and villainy, right? Like, I think you're right, Dan, in that like people are going to be like, screw this kid. He's not good enough to be here.
He's not going to be a villain unless he's like does something. Yeah.
So my guy is like following the sign of like, you want to be treacherous, right? Like I think Embiid, right, is a very, very good villain. There's obviously multiple villains, but this guy, we saw just a taste of it when the Hawks had a conference finals run out of nowhere, and then they've been kind of bad since. But Trae Young wants to be, he's that type of guy where like he doesn't want to win. He really thrives off of you being mad at him. He foul baits. Like a lot of his sort of like natural tendencies is to be kind of like a frustrating person. And he has these elements of like, he's not just a Pat Bev. He's not this guy who's sort of like a sideshow. He also has these elements of really having like a takeover potential. And when he first played against the Knicks and he won and he did those like bows, I was like, this guy is extra. Like that is a lot. And then like after the game, like his comments were something along the lines of like people like, wow, like you really sort of like egged on the Madison Square Garden crowd. And he was like, when you're at the theater, you take a bow. And I'm like, this guy really
right.
is not super interested in people being like, I like you. Like that's, if you say something like that, you're like, oh, okay. Like you're basically, you're not really interested in being liked. So he's my main villain take. I think also you got to get there as well. So we'll see. Like, you know, I think fading villains is a fun concept too. Cause like you also have to be, you have to be there. You have to be that good as well, which is a part of it. Villains.
Yeah, I think so too. I like the role player villains are certainly, they exist. Guys who are like trying to, you know, hurt people and stuff like that, like goons and stuff like that. But like, that's a different level of villain that I feel like, I don't know, every sport kind of has those guys, and they just don't have a high enough profile, you know. But I mean, some of them have a higher profile than others. Like you mentioned Pat Bev and like, I don't know, like, you know, Grace Snell and stuff like that. But like, whatever, like there's a bunch of guys like that, but it's most fun to talk about the guys who are in the spotlight, right? Like those villains are the ones they really get us going. Trae Young's a great one. Trae Young's a great one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's bounce over to question number 2. It was also kind of like weaving this welcome to Wrexham thing. I thought it'd be fun to think about a lowly franchise that 2 British actors or British celebrities purchased and revitalized. Because I think, you know, again, like weaving in the villain thing here, part of the villain angle is that this 2 Americans coming into like English soccer. It's like
or a Canadian and an American. Yeah.
Oh, right. Sorry. But it's like opposite Ted Lasso, right? It's like, oh, I'm a nice guy coming in. Like these are people being like, soccer's kind of dumb. Anyways, I'm rich. And it's like, holy shit, this is you know, like even like during the show when they'll like ask questions, it's like, is that bad? It's like, you just got scored on, like, you know, it's bad.
Yeah.
So like that aspect of being like, fuck you guys, I guess. Like, I think would be fun. And there's some villain sort of like energy weaving into this question. But yeah, let's start with you, Dan. Give me 2 English celebrities that are going to purchase an NBA team, and who are they? What's the vibe? What's the team?
Yeah, I was thinking of. I'd love to see like Mr. Bean and Prince Harry bring back like the Chicago Bulls with like a new swag, you know. Like
I knew
Mr.
one of you
Bean.
guys was gonna pick 2 celebrities that had no relation.
Mr. Bean and Prince Harry.
And not Rowan Atkinson. It's Mr. Bean.
It's Mr. Bean in character, and he does Jumbotron bit while Prince Harry's like the money, you know.
It's also not Blackadder, right? Like,
Switch the mascot to a turkey on the guy's head.
wait, whoa. Wait, what's Harry doing?
Prince Harry comes out driving in that 3-wheeled blue car.
So Harry,
They keep falling over.
Harry's just there to get punked. That's awesome. Honestly,
Well, you know, Mr. Bean's pretty old now, so Harry's got to do a lot of the stunts. You know,
sure, yeah. I'd love it. I would love it if Harry was like, "This is like, I left the royal family. I caused all this shit. Really, I'm a Chicago guy through and through.
I'm a Chicago guy, though. Yeah,
And I want to get blown over in the Windy City."
that's it. That's the number one bit that happens.
Yeah.
That car
Also,
gets
just
blown
watching-
over.
Also, just watching Mr. Bean and Prince Harry interact would be so fun. Oh, many miscommunication.
Mr. Bean, can you finish making your sandwich? Fuck, man.
He's spinning it around in the sock and everything.
Yeah, so that's basically my
Trade Levine.
And with the 5th overall pick, the Chicago Bulls select Mr. Bean. You lost the card. Good answer. 2 for 2, Dan.
That's killer.
That's incredible. Andy, do you have 2 completely disconnected English celebrities?
Oh my god. No, Dame Judi Dench and also Harry Potter. Get those guys to buy a team.
Cool.
Pick up the Charlotte Hornets, and they can buy. They can invest in the Charlotte Hornets, and they can really turn it around. Start build I don't know, make it a castle that they play in now. Change the name of the team. There you go.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, did you want a serious answer from this?
No.
Were you looking for investors? Is that what you wanted me to find?
I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I don't know what I wanted, but I got.
You got it, man.
I got it, man.
You got what you needed here. Is what you got.
This is good.
2 fictional characters.
Yeah.
2 super old people.
Mr. Dress Up and Mrs. Doubtfire by the
Yeah, and they buy the Harlem Globetrotters. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Freddie, who do you got? Who
do I got?
Who's your reverse
my
Wrexham
God.
thing?
I have a very serious answer to this. I actually took my question serious, guys. The Wizards have been struggling for a long time.
Uh-huh.
So you're bringing in
Get Harry Potter in there, man.
Yeah, you're bringing in the Sherlock boys. So you got Sherlock and Holmes.
Wait. Oh, that's one guy.
Oh shit, that is one.
Yeah, you're thinking Watson.
You're thinking Watson for sure, man.
You got Sherlock. Holmes
And
is his last name.
Holmes.
And you got
Pete Holmes.
Watson doesn't have a first or last name. No, yeah.
Or last.
Yeah, is it just Watson? No.
Go with Moriarty.
Yeah. No, Watson does have a name.
Yeah,
That's his last name. Watson's his last name.
Scratch that. Fleabag is
Is Fleabag available?
I mean, I did think someone was going to pop in with Ricky Gervais. I really did.
Oh yeah, no.
But no, fictional
No,
characters.
sorry,
nah.
Because it would be actually, you're right. It would have been good if someone said Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant, and they made a show that's kind of like extras. Like it works, right?
But they'd have to buy a G League team. That's the thing.
Right.
The whole relegation thing, it doesn't really.
Yeah. Or you'd have to buy there's got to be what's the team in the Canadian basketball league, right? Like the CBL, isn't there?
They could buy the 905, and then they could sign Kawhi Leonard back to the 905.
Yeah,
from the league above.
For sure, I can see that happening.
Yeah. Listen, you're the one who asked the question. You can't play off when we start to do it for real that you're like, yeah, anyways, sure.
Yeah, anyways. Fuck. Wales and a dolphin pod. Cool.
Yeah.
This actually was a good question and a good answer. So cheers to you guys. Let's do a little bit of Raptors. So I mean, this is just summer silly questions here. So I was thinking it would be fun to talk about what skill could improve this Raptors team the most from an NBA 2K standpoint. Like pick one player, give them one skill that they're either let's say if it's like a 0 out of 10, you bring it to a 5, and if it's like a 5 out of 10, you can bring it to a 10. Okay. Dan, who's your player? What's the skill?
So I picked Emmanuel Quickly, and I just thought maybe we could focus on playmaking because Quickly is like a good scorer and a good defender, but if he was better at playmaking, it could unlock like another level for him. So
Mhm.
I thought that like passing accuracy and ball handling specifically, like also that would allow um, just you could facilitate the offense better. Um, yeah, I think you could bring if you could bring playmaking like up to a 10. Is that
Yeah,
right?
where would we both put, or where would we all put IQ's playmaking as is? Very very short stint we saw him,
Like a
you know,
6?
6 out of 10.
Is
You know,
that I don't know.
I might give him like a 4.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Uh no, yeah, I think yeah. But I could be wrong. It's not as if he doesn't have the skill. I think it's just he hasn't been trusted with that role. And
According
it's
to 2KRatings.com, IQ has an 80 playmaking.
Wow.
wow. So
It's actually his second highest of the stats that they sort of count here.
wow, so big slander coming from me.
Yeah, but is that right? Like, is he
I mean,
that
I
good
don't
of a
know if
playmaker?
that's
Like,
accurate to like his, but that's what they have. They
I'll
seem to think
I'll
he's pretty
say
good.
this: he had such a short time with the team, like healthy, that we couldn't really see, the team was a bit of a tire fire. Like, he joins, Pascal's there for like a couple games. Scotty and Pirtle both get hand injuries, ending the season. He gets injured. RJ has to deal with tragedy, and it's just a really weird,
no. The
weird.
team was morphing all season. It was weird.
Yeah. So, but I think the
But
reason
Dan,
sorry, go ahead, Eddie.
I was just gonna say that I do think that this happens sometimes in 2K where like the developers and stuff will have a more of like a template for guys like this. So like they know IQ's a good scorer. They know he can shoot like mid range and all that kind of stuff. Um, and they'll just go like, okay, that's what we think he is he's kind of this like sort of archetype of player,
Right.
and then they plug that onto him, and like really his passing is probably lower than an 80. And they just kind of do that because he facilitates that role on the team. That I do
Yeah.
find
This might
that
be a
does happen
dumb
a lot in video
question, but could it
games.
also be that like the number is like because you're a player playing him, so they're like he has all the attributes to play with him well, but
Yeah,
like he's
maybe.
not doing that on his own. Like he's like he has all the potential in the world, obviously. You know what I mean? But it's like maybe that's
And
not even a real.
these are his ratings, by the way, if anyone's paying attention. These are his ratings for 2K25. So these are the game
Right.
that hasn't been released yet. These are the ones
Maybe they
for
just
that.
know something we don't.
It could also
There you
just be
go.
a positive projection going forward, where they're saying, we think he's going to step into this role where he's not sort
Hmm.
of stuck behind Jalen Brunson, and
Mhm.
he's obviously going to have to do a lot of playmaking because similar to Jokic Murray situation, like, or Giannis or whatever. Like, yes, those guys have the ball a lot and they're making a lot of decisions on the offensive side of the ball, but really there has to be like a nominal point guard. There is going to be a guy who's stuck with the ball when the shot clock, like when the shot clock expires. Like, so I mean, he does have a lot of the tools. This is just my opinion. He does have a lot of the tools, but sort of the forgive the pun, but like the IQ aspect of like making the reads and pick and rolls and like
Mhm.
feeding this guy and getting them going. Like when you watch a guy like Jalen Brunson, it's like holy shit, this guy is just like managing the game like it's he obviously is an incredible scorer, but he's managing the game like he's just this like Eli Manning style point guard where he's like it's not necessarily like Jalen Brunson is. He has those skills, but he's picking all the perfect moments.
I think you actually nailed it when you said the team was changing so much. It's hard to get a good read on his playmaking because like he had different people around him all the time, and
Mhm.
he also wasn't there for a bit. So this season will be a nice. He'll have like a full camp, and also we'll get to hopefully see him with a more steady crew, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Andy, who's your guy? What's the skill?
Oh, for me, simple. Per plus. Let's go. Jakob Pertl. And we're going to plus his 3-point shot. We're going to take it from the, I'm guessing, incredibly low number that it is.
Got to be 0. Yeah.
Got to be a 0 and bump it right up. Even you put him at a 50, you're pretty pleased with that, I'd say. Let's look at what he actually is, actually.
If he went from 0 3-point shooting percentage to like 25, that's a game changer. By the way, this was my exact take. So I have a backup answer because I think if you turn Pirtle into a guy who could shoot the 3,
yeah,
as opposed to a guy that like just straight up does not shoot the 3, it would actually be absurd.
Yeah. His outside scoring in NBA 2K25 will be 69, which I think is kind of generous, to be honest. But this is probably going from like a video game thing where like a 60 is like the lowest you can get, really. Like there is 50s, but like not in the NBA. Like in the other leagues, you'll have like 50s and lower. Right. But in the NBA, like the lowest it gets is like a 60. So this is pretty low. This 69 sounds high, but it's actually quite low. Yeah. So yeah. Well, let's bump that up to an 80. Let's get that up to an 85 if we can. You know, that would be incredible. Now you got a whole different player to deal with, you know, for opposing defenses, right? Like you now have to like watch Jakob Pertl on the perimeter. Like that's strange. No one's going to be used to that, and that's going to obviously make it a lot easier for the whole team, right? So there you go. That's the one, I think.
I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
So my backup answer, for me, Pertl was the answer. So I have 2 sort of backups. One is just like Grady Dick like strength. So if you gave great, like, you know, and this is partially inspired by like a classic summer workout pick where like he does look pretty jacked. We'll see how that translates, and you know if it translates at all. But I think Grady Dick, not, you know, if you can't push him around the way that, you know, he was pushed around like a lot of rookies are, that's a pretty big deal. And then the other one, and I think there's a world in which it's possible because he is strong and he is athletic, and I feel like it's just a positioning type thing. It's RJ on defense. So if there was, and you know, we've even seen in Team Canada a little bit where if everyone is kind of like has a defensive mindset, you know, obviously RJ is nowhere near like a Lou Dort or a you know, Dylan Brooks type thing, but if RJ could be a guy that's not, you know, that makes better reads, that isn't like just getting blown by all the time, it isn't like a major, like, you know, isn't a negative, that's a pretty big bonus. Where's RJ on defense?
Defending, which and by the way, these are like a amalgamation of a couple different actual, like, if you get into the nitty gritty of the stats, but these you can still find these in 2K. His defending is 67, so that's pretty low. Like that, I feel like they did him a little dirty on that.
Yeah,
they also
he's a worse defender than Pirtle as a 3 shooter.
Yeah, like they did him dirty. Also, he's an 81 overall in 25, and his inside scoring is only a 71. Like I feel like that should be it. And his outside scoring is a 79. Like I feel like his inside scoring should be a little bit better.
He does do a lot of the like puts his head down and like
gets in there.
He's a guy, man. I mean, playmaking as well for him could be big because he has a lot of that head down driving, and then it's sort of like almost like you would see Gary Trent do it, where it's like breakaway, and it's like, okay, so you pass to him, that he'll pass to you, you pass back, and somebody gets the layup. But then Gary Trent just like doesn't pass at all. Yeah. And you're like, I think that you're not, like, when you practice, you probably aren't. People tell you not to do that, right? Like, and RJ does some of that, but in a different way, where he just sort of like tries to bulldoze you, and it's like has that like, oh, I'm just gonna like, you know, if we're sticking with 2K, I'm just gonna hold down the controller and eventually dunk on you, which he does sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah. Okay, let's wrap this up with. I'm obsessed with this Raptors like 30th season because I think it's going to be funny, and I think that like This is like I think Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is like my 4th podcast in a row where I have a 30th anniversary style question. It's like I can't tell if
Yeah, I think so.
season's going to be so bad that I'm going to be like loving it, or if it's going to be like a joke, or if it's going to be cool. Like I don't know if you guys saw like the Vince mixtape thing for like Vince, like his like dunking against every single team. I was like a
I
pro.
didn't see that. No.
It was incredible. It was awesome. It was legit. Like okay, this is amazing. But anyways, the one of the best things about the NBA that I mean, frankly, gets talked about a little bit, but not enough, is King Cake Baby. If you know King Cake Baby, you probably had nightmares about him. He's fucked up. He looks scary. It's like a sinewy, kind of like jaundiced, like achy looking baby.
Achy.
And it, yeah. So the Pelicans have a mascot. It's a pelican, straight up, right? So that's pretty straightforward. But they have a second mascot named King Cake Baby, which is a tradition in Mardi Gras, where it's this little sort of figurine that gets put into a cake. Also a little bit weird because, like, I hope that people don't choke on it. But I mean, whatever. I guess you're expecting it. I don't know. All good. So
I think you search for the baby first if you're like in your piece.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you like just bite into it blind.
yeah, you don't just chomp around.
You don't just cut up because it's pretty big. Like I've
It's
seen
big,
pictures
okay.
of the King Cake Baby. It's like it's usually like 2 inches or so.
I was picturing like a piece of Lego, so I'm like, oh, it's dangerous.
Very small, like you could swallow it.
Yeah, some people don't even know.
Nope, they've swallowed many King Cake Babies.
But if you've never seen King Cake Baby, do yourself a favor and just like Google image search. There's a lot of good pictures. One of the better ones is like there's a costume malfunction and like people are helping the King Cake Baby like take off its diaper, like really fucked up stuff. It's disturbing.
That is
So I thought, what is a like weird Toronto tradition? Like what's an idea for like a second mascot that like all the rest of the NBA would be like, what is this? It's odd and giving me the creeps. Yeah, what's like if we're gonna bring in a weirdo second mascot tradition, what's our King Cake Baby? Dan.
Maybe start with Andy there.
Oh, start with Andy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if that's
okay.
all
I got
right.
one.
Sure.
Well, I like that it's tied to food for the Pelicans.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Toronto should be tied to food as well. And
Okay.
there's a lot of great food in Toronto.
Yes.
But I think the place where I always tell people to go is California sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the most crowd pleasing, as far as like people want to get a Toronto food experience. The most broad, but also like not like a fast food place. You know what I mean? So, anyways, so it's California sandwiches. So for me, it's a giant veal sandwich, and it's walking around, and everything's falling out one side of it, and it's not cut in half because you forgot to ask them to cut it in half.
Nice.
And also, you asked for sweet peppers, but they don't have any because you called after 1 p.m.
Oh wow, this got
That's
personal.
the thing. I love California sandwiches. You better call early if you want those sweet peppers. They run out of them every single
That's
now,
good though. It's fresh.
Oh, it's always fresh. Everything at Forney's is fresh. It's all fresh, baby. But listen, you better be on it if you want those sweet peppers, because you could call at 3 or 4 o'clock. You're like, certainly they'll have the peppers tonight. They got the peppers here. It's not been a busy
Andy
day.
called one time clearly, but
Absolutely
I can tell 105 p.m. And then he was like, I missed out on the peppers.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I can't believe it. How many peppers did you have today?
2.
And they're like full stock, like 8 boxes, a crate of them, and they're gone already. But that's how popular Forney's is, man. It's always full. It's always a lineup. People are always getting those sandwiches. Now they're ordering them from friggin' Uber Eats and everything. So like, you can't keep those in the house. So guess what? Your peppers are gone, baby, like that. And you got to get them because they're very good.
Hey, sir, what would you like on your sandwich? Peppers only, please. Triple it.
Sorry. Yeah. We do have a rule here that if you order peppers, you have to order them for like 8 sandwiches. Also,
Yeah.
for some reason,
That's
if it's
good.
before 1 p.m.
I'll do one veal sandwich and a couple of peppers only sandwich. Peppers is a button too.
Also, you gotta. Do you have like? Can I get like half a crate of those peppers? I just need some for my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anyways.
wait, by the way, your mascot is a veal sandwich.
It's a veal sandwich.
Okay, without pepper.
It's a medium veal sandwich with. You asked for sweet peppers; they did not have them, but you did also get mushrooms, onions, and cheese.
That's good stuff. So like when the crowd when like whatever the veal sandwich comes out, if there's a
People
crowd,
are like, boo, boo, it's veal, boo.
or do they show like where's the sweet peppers and it's just sort of the sandwich?
Yeah, and they're like,
I don't know.
It's just a big mascot. He doesn't talk. It just like
Points to
waving
the
his
clock.
big finger, like no, no,
1:05
no,
PM.
no sweet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, points at his watch. Yeah. You
Cool.
called after 2.
Although I think you really did nail this, Andy, because this is about as straightforward as King Cake Baby being a mascot in for the Pelicans. Because when you discover King Cake Baby, you only have one more question. So you only have more questions. Like nothing's
yes.
really
Right.
It's just like, what is this? How? Why?
like
What?
I
Is it a New Year's baby? It's supposed. It's a baby Jesus.
What?
It's a baby Jesus.
Oh.
It's
I
King Cake
wouldn't-
Baby is baby Jesus.
See, I always learn. I didn't know that.
That's what when I looked it up today, because you were like, if you don't know what it is, look it up, and I did, and it's a little figurine, a porcelain figure of baby Jesus, and it's put in like
Cake.
this special cake. Yeah, it's symbolizing Jesus. It's
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's for residents of Louisiana to celebrate their Christian faith. The baby symbolizes luck and prosperity to whoever finds it.
beautiful.
And it's not just a regular cake. If you think we're talking about like a classic birthday cake here, no. It's a pretty flat cake, and sometimes I've seen it. It's like a round. That's almost more like a giant donut, but it's like it almost looks like a bagel. Anyways,
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it now. Looks
there's a couple
disturbing.
different versions. I think I'm seeing when I look it up, and yeah, but a lot of them are this kind of circular, kind of like almost like a knotted kind of more breadish looking thing.
Oh, this is good. What to use for baby in king cake? Make sure to buy a new tiny plastic baby.
Make sure to buy a new one, tiny
Yeah, yeah.
plastic.
Yeah.
People were
want.
using used ones for a while, and it was just
Yeah.
like it's out of control.
It's
And
like,
then
I
at
ate
the end of this, it says, "Let the good times roll with the authentic king cake recipe." So
that. Roll. There you go.
this is a great answer. Veal sandwich, no peppers, 105. You're done.
Yeah, on the watch. Yeah.
Dan, what's your king cake baby for Toronto?
I think it would be like a Nuit Blanche. The street, it's like a street mascot with a bunch of art on it.
Okay, a bunch of like art where it's like not well attended sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like-
It's pretty well attended, actually.
Actually,
Pretty well attended. It's
Pretty
come
well
on.
attended. No, just like a street with a bunch of art on it, and it can be called Nuit Blanche or a ketchup chip. You decide.
okay.
Because Canada, you could just use anything that's uniquely Canada, right? Because there's no other Canadian teams, so anything that would be uniquely Canada would also work, I guess.
True.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, what is the tiny like? Is it a suit? Like, is the suit a tiny street? Like,
Yeah,
is it just a person in like I said, a painting? Like,
it's a road. You got like a road costume
it's a
with
road.
like all this stuff on it,
Oh, a road costume. So sorry.
and then you put that road in a cake. It's pretty good.
Oh, yours is also a cake?
Yeah, you like to put mine in a cake too. Little Nuit
Yeah, you
Blanche
put the
street.
road in the cake. Yeah.
Good. Okay, well, you asked this question too because you incorporated a cake. Put
Yeah.
a road filled with art in a cake. Nice. That's good.
like
solid.
Freddie, what's yours?
Mine is IKEA monkey. So it's a
IKEA monkey, right?
if-
Okay.
yeah. If you're younger, if you're not from Toronto, Google IKEA monkey. There was a monkey in a very like fashionable coat. that a woman owned this monkey. Not it didn't get a lot of explanation there. She's a weirdo. Owns a monkey. And she brought it to the store, I guess, and then it escaped her car, like probably trying to free itself. It's a tortured monkey, and it got into the IKEA and was running around, and it had like it was very fashion forward, like it looked great. So mine is the IKEA monkey. You have not a real monkey, like no animal cruelty here, but someone dressed up it's a tiny monkey though, like
it is.
someone dressed up in
it's
tiny
a Japanese macaque. Yeah,
it's a Japanese macaque. So
yeah.
So yeah, one of those in a nice coat. Throw that in a cake too, for sure.
Yeah. I forgot to mention my California sandwich is in a cake. Also, I didn't say that, but I thought it was implied. I thought the inside of a cake thing was implied. We were just
no
not
peppers in this cake, folks.
No peppers. You called too late. Speaking of monkeys, have you guys seen this new show? It's on HBO or Crave in Canada. It's called like Chimp Crazy.
Yeah,
Chimp Crazy.
I'm obsessed with it. It's
listen,
crazy.
It's the new Tiger King, and you have to watch it, and it's nuts. And this monkey, absolutely, I guarantee you, was owned by a woman like the woman who in the documentary.
Yeah,
it's just
this lady is
very obvious.
Absolutely out there. Like there's like one part where she's like, I don't know why they think I'm a bad guy. They love chicken McNuggets. I feed them chicken McNuggets. I feed them Gatorade. And you're like, it shows the monkeys eating chicken McNuggets and drinking Gatorade, and she thinks like that's cool.
It's nuts.
It's a crazy show. I am obsessed with it though.
Is it? So this is real.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Tanya Haddix, whose love for chimpanzees spins into a wild.
It's about this one woman who like ends up kidnapping a monkey because she didn't want it to be taken away by the authorities or whatever who were taking a bunch of monkeys from this one place. I should stop calling them monkeys. They're not monkeys. Remember, they're great apes.
Chimpanzee.
Great ape family. It's not a monkey. The great apes. Anyways, so she ends up taking it and lying about it, but then admitting it all on camera. It's crazy. Like it's Tiger King levels of crazy, and it is actually good. It's good. You gotta watch it.
And also, it's not just any monkey. It's like the monkey from Most Valuable Primate. Like it's the monkey you watched in every movie growing up.
Yeah. Alan Cumming is in the documentary a lot because he was in a movie with this little chimp when it was like a younger chimp, and it was still doing movies and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I was in this movie and this chimp like loved him. Like it would freak out when it saw him all the time, come and, just want to crawl all around him and give him hugs and stuff. And he's like, I loved this little animal. And then he's so sad to find out what happens to it later. But because this woman hasn't like locked up in her basement and feeding it chicken nuggets. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you discover they're interviewing Alan Cumming on the set of Traitors, and you're so sad to discover that Alan Cumming's upset when he finds out this chip is tortured with nuggets.
It is such a weird show.
That's very Tiger King. Listen, everybody, go watch this show. It sounds awesome. If you need like I haven't watched it yet, but if you need like, oh god, like I want to see chimps in a different light. Chimp Empire. I watched it last year. Fantastic. It won Best Doc at the Oscars.
Really?
Best Doc series. They follow two groups of chimps. It's actually fucking sick.
I was gonna take the end of this podcast and bring up like how in NBA 2K25 the Raptors all-time Raptors team is like that, they have these like all-time teams in the roster. I was going to talk about that for a second, but I'm really glad we veered into chimp country here. Like I'm really glad we took a hard left and we were like, let's talk about our closest animal cousins, the chimpanzee, and what wicked shows are on about it.
Yeah, listen, if you just want chimp stuff, that's not like a full show. Recently, they discovered chimp can create its own medicine and rub it on its own wound. So good stuff happening in chimp worlds.
Amazing stuff happening in chimp world. And again, the 2K all-time Raptors team would have been disappointing because I shit you not, 2K25 On the all-time Raptors roster, there's 15 players on the roster. They included Andrea Bargnani.
Ow.
It's
That's brutal.
insane.
That's fucked
That's
up.
so weird.
That's actually disrespectful.
It is. It's a major burn.
That's
to
that's
us.
like if you're the programmer, you're like,
That's the albatross.
I'm a bastard. Like,
They gave him a 93-point shot. But anyways, we don't have enough time to talk about that. We just spent all the time talking about
that's
the chimps.
upsetting.
We'll have to talk about this next time.
Yeah. But let's.
They rated him higher than Serge Ibaka. Anyways, let's move on.
Fucked up. Okay, now I'm pissed.
Fucked up.
Now I'm pissed. Gonna kidnap a chimp, feed it nuggets.
Yeah.
Dan, what's up? What do you got going on? I mean, we have our show, but I'm sure you got some other shows coming up sooner.
Yeah, I got lots of shows. You can check them all out at dangalea.com or .ca. There's like a show almost every Thursday. So if you want to come to the Teddy Beer Show, it's one on September 5th. Or you can come to Stand Up Night in Canada or All Good Comedy or Music on the River or any of these shows. Super fun time. Great date night. Please come on out and head on over to that website that you can see right there if you're watching. I don't know if people watch.
Or you can say it to the people listening.
Yeah, dangalea.ca.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Best producer in the city. I said it.
You said it.
Wow.
Andy, what's up? When's the next quiz night?
Quiz night, 4th Wednesday every month. Still down at the Smith House. Dan, you know about that place. Rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's still happening. Other than that, we're bouncing around doing shows over at Comedy Bar. Catch 23 coming up here. I'll keep you posted. That's about it. Crush City over at Comedy Bar, Danforth. That's happening as well. Keep your eyes peeled.
Absolutely beautiful. I don't have any shows on the docket right now, but check this podcast every Tuesday, coming out to every Tuesday morning, and also check out my WNBA podcast with Catherine Niker from Buckets and Tea on Raptors Republic.
So
The Pickup WNBA podcast. If you need a basketball fix, the WNBA is like absolutely in full gear. It's a just electric, transcendent season. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Asia Wilson, and yeah, it's an amazing year, and the WNBA is going through some very cool shit. If you're watching on YouTube, that's just a dog chilling. But yeah, also subscribe to Raptors Republic, follow all the creators, and read their good work, listen to their good podcasts, and we will see you next week.